Welcome to Puerto Galera. In today's episode, Scandi Divers wants to show us one of their premier muck diving locations. Wait until you see what we found under the waves. Thank you for joining the dive today. You are watching Critter Hunter.
Ready for some more critter hunting?
Yeah. Let's go and get plenty of critters over in Montani. Nice muck diving site.
Montali?
Yeah, Montani, yeah.
Alright.
Beautiful place, one of my favorite muck diving sites.
Sounds good to
So
me.
let's see what we can get.
I do love the smell of night trucks in the morning, Larry.
So this time we're using air.
Oh, we're using air.
Yeah.
Okay. I do love the smell of compressed air. It just doesn't rhyme.
Where you going?
Down here got abandoned or whatever during lockdowns, and a lot of them just aren't getting new licenses, so they're kind of abandoned. So a lot of them sank last year just from being abandoned. So some of them are good dives, but this whole bay has got good visibility, and there's a lot of macro, a lot of muck diving, a lot of critters, so we're gonna go find those guys. Right, Larry?
Yeah!
So this bay is crazy. I need a drone to look at it all. There's tons of dive sites that are designated, discovered, but there's miles and miles of water here that is not explored at all. Dive sites everywhere. I asked him how deep it is out in the middle of the bay, which I thought would be really deep, and it's like 12 to 18 meters. So there's literally muck diving, wrecks, stuff everywhere, all over these bays. I mean, you can spend a lifetime just exploring all these areas and finding species and wrecks and who knows what. It's crazy. What's his name? Willie with me?
That's the fella.
So apparently that's the house of a famous Filipino TV show guy. He's got a lot of boats. Big old dock. Is that the one you said the helicopter was landing on?
Yeah.
He's got a helicopter that lands there and drops him off. Look at that. He's got like a swimming area. Wow. Yeah, that's an expensive place right there. Well, enough of the chat. It's time to get under the water. It's beautiful though. You can spend a year here exploring new sites, making your own sites, naming them, Let's see what we can find. A lot of nudies, I'm sure. Let's go see. So we're leaving Scandi Divers and heading around the corner to a dive site called Montelli. This dive site is all the way in the bay and still less than 10 minutes to get to from Scandi Divers. Now I wanted to show you this. It's not good footage, but that's kind of the point here. I wanted to show you how this is just a dirty, old, ugly muck diving site. It's all sand, seemingly nothing to see. And then you'll see these little outcroppings out in the middle of nowhere. You know, sometimes you'll see some nudies or crabs and shrimp on these outcroppings, along with these little tiny school of fish that hide on them. But what I'm looking for is the cool critters that hide out in the sand. Now, this is something that I see every day and I always ignore. And I keep telling myself that I want to film something that I usually ignore, because maybe you guys haven't seen it yet. And this is like a pine cone snail or something. I'm not sure what kind of snail it is. But they're so fascinating. They're such weird bodies because there's such a huge spiral inside this cone. Yet this snail fits all the way down in there. Now you can see his foot coming out. And it has a hard carapace right there. So that when it goes all the way into its shell, that hard part will seal it. And I had to speed this up because, well, he's moving at a snail's pace, but he's not feeling as threatened anymore. So he comes out of his shell. You can see his eye at the front, taking a look around while his foot starts to get himself in position to kind of slither away. I don't know how riveting this footage is. Of course, I had to speed it up a lot. I mean, nobody wants to watch a snail slither across the sand. But it's just so cool seeing different critters. Now this is a pulsing zelia, and I see it on pretty much every dive in Philippines and maybe Indonesia and maybe the tropics, who knows. But I always think these are fascinating. And of course, we got a Chromadorus nudibranch. Now, this guy was not having very fun flapping in the wind. Well, current. And it looked like he was about to fly away. But I think nudibranch actually put down some kind of gel or something that makes him stick to the ground. This is a banded coral shrimp, pretty common as well, but something I always ignore. But I like how big and funny looking his big claws are. They're really long and pointy. And I found a leaf sheep. I told myself I was gonna ignore leaf sheep on this trip because I filmed so many. But then I found this species, which I believe is an usagi, and it's one that I don't see very often. So I started filming it. But it wasn't exactly cooperating. He was in a weird position, trying to crawl from one side to the other of the leaf. I had to wait patiently because I was hoping he'd get in a much better position. And after a while, he kind of did. He finally slithered his way onto the other side of the leaf, and I could start trying to get his face. Now, this is a sap-sucking sea slug. It's technically not a nudibranch with the naked gills, but they also could say that these are solar powered. This guy is really, really tiny, about the size of a BB from a BB gun. Now we're out here in the sand. Like I said, it's so ugly, but I wanted to show you why it's so awesome. You see anything? How about now? It's a white V octopus. These things are awesome. And they're super hard for me to film because it's the exact same color as the sand. Now, I finally got the lights on and changed the white balance once I knew that the octopus was there. And it kind of looks better. But as you can see, he's the exact color of the sand and really hard to film. I mean, you can barely tell that there's anything there. My camera doesn't want to focus on nothing. So I had to ask later, of course, what this was, because I've only seen one ever. And I also had to ask why they call it a white V. And apparently it's because they're white, and when they swim, they make themselves into a V. Simple as that, I guess. I thought it was pretty funny because here in Philippines, people name their dogs and cats like obvious names. Like Brownie, Blackie, Whitey, Ginger, Spotty, things like that. So I'm beginning to think a white V is just a Filipino name. But you guys let me know if you have these in other countries. Yeah, I followed this guy around for a while, trying to get a better shot, trying to get a close-up or something, but he just wouldn't hold still. This isn't the greatest footage. It's hard to film something that looks like dirt while he's sitting on dirt, but I hope you can see what it is at least. Finally, he stopped for a few seconds and I could kind of film him a little bit closer. And it's hard to get close enough where my lights can hit him and he's not scared. But I'm just slowly creeping forward a little more. And then he decides to take off anyway. Nearby, there was a broad club cuttlefish. And when I point my finger at him, he finally changed colors and started flashing. Now, I wasn't about to scare him or touch him or anything. I'm still 6 inches away, but I thought I wanted to show you guys how awesome they are when they can change colors or flash or whatever. These guys are amazing. So this is what I love about muck diving in the Philippines, you guys. This is just a dive site, as you saw, which is supremely ugly at first glance. You would never want to snorkel here, there's just nothing to see. But as divers, we can just get close up to the sand and the gravel and the rubble, and you see some of the most amazing species that most of the world has probably never seen in their life. That's why I love the Philippines. So, wow. You know it's a good dive when your battery dies. There's so many critters that my battery that usually can last 2 hours is dead in 77 minutes. Chasing that octopus and then all those emperor shrimp. I don't even remember what all we filmed, but I was so mad that there were so many more critters that I wanted to film, but I didn't have no more battery. Little bobtails, everything running around everywhere. That was a huge seahorse too.
Yeah. There's 2, right?
3.
3,
Yeah.
That's the residence here.
Well, these guys are freezing, so we're gonna get out of the water.